Rising and your host for the LinkedIn Lives. We have been having a series of live, and we have been covering so many topics. And so many of you guys kind of like wanted for a very long time. Okay, I bring back, women back in our lives. So by women, I mean somebody that has done a really great job existing in STEM. And as women, we see that not really often, which is not the best, but also when we do see such examples, it's really a responsibility to highlight that. And for that, I have Maryam. Maryam, before I give any sort of introduction, I would want you to take that and kind of like tell us about your journey, your 15 years of extensive journey, and what you do basically, and today where you are at, and kind of like what's the hard work that was all behind it.
Okay, assalamu alaikum and very good evening, everybody. So thank you very much, Soha, for having me. It's a pleasure, really. मेरे बारे में अगर मैं बात करूँ, I'll just try to have a mix of both Urdu and English so that a lot of
Yeah.
people can understand and relate to that. So my experience. So basically, I'm an engineer, mechatronics engineer. I did my mechatronics way back 15 years ago. 14, 15 years ago, and I started off in production as a trainee engineer in packages. So at that particular time, I never thought that I'll be one day a part of commercial that I am now.
Yeah.
So it's a transition basically, moving
Yeah.
from supply, production, procurement, supply chain, and now my experience is primarily in sales, something
Yeah.
that I really am passionate about. I love sales. So when I talk about sales, it's B2B and B2C both, right? So from packages, I moved on to Coke.
Okay.
I was initially in Lahore, and then I moved to Gujranwala. I was looking after Gujranwala, Wazirabad, Gujarat, that belt on GT Road. That was primarily rural areas, primarily, yeah. And then from there, I joined Telenor in B2B sales, and it was in Faisalabad and Multan. From there, I joined Unilever Pakistan, and that was again after a long time my first non-sales role, and I was heading one of the categories that we used to call home care. जिसमें primarily आ जाते हैं detergents. So
Mhm.
there I was responsible for the whole business of home care, and from there I joined Jazz. So
Okay.
one thing I should make clear that our current podcast is in my personal capacity, and I am
Mhm.
not representing any of the organizations that I've worked for. So whatever we will discuss moving ahead will be my personal opinion.
Yes, perfect, perfect for that. Mariam, you have worked in such big corporations, and now you are the commercial director of a really well-known telecom company. Um, the first thing I really want to start off with is you are an incredible woman for doing that, right? And how does it feel to be a woman in such an male-populated industry? We'll be honest, even if it's in tech or कोई भी industry at this point आप ले लो, it is populated heavily with men. And you have existed and kind of like taken care of businesses in different regions, different belts. How does it really feel to be able to do that? So I would want you to talk about that.
Yeah. So I will be very realistic and positive both.
Yeah.
If I am being realistic, were very different 15 years ago and 10
Yeah.
years ago and 5 years ago from today. We have made a huge, I would say, we have covered a journey, if I have to tell you very honestly, because the acceptance level that I used to feel 15 years ago, I think has drastically improved over the years, and it is still improving. I'm very sure and very hopeful that things will further improve as we go along. However, one thing that really, really needs to change is the mindset.
All right.
Mindset, when I say mindset, it's both women and men, right?
Yes.
It's not that we have to, like, that's my personal opinion. I don't think that women themselves are solely responsible or vice versa. And by the way, there's no such comparison between a man and a woman that way. But
Hmm.
women in Pakistan, particularly, really, really have to take ownership of what they really want to do in life.
Yes.
And when you as a woman you're clear of your ambitions, your goals, and your vision, then again your journey starts, and then you can think of what support you need from your people around, and how do you want to fix your career, move your career, and then again, not only in corporate sector, even as an entrepreneur. So if you decide that you have to start your own business, for instance, then also the same rule applies.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, as we talk about, you mentioned you've been in such big leadership roles, right? Again, with taking care of different businesses and everything. Um, how was it for you when you started off, right? So when you start off, like I'm starting off, and so many of our followers and listeners are just starting off with their careers, right? And as a woman, as you mentioned, कि पहले it was really different, and of course with time we have gradually seen it improving, but still there's so much room that we can work around, right? um, how does it feel to lead in that environment, right? And how did your experiences help you shape your leadership role that is today?
Okay, as I said about, as I talked about, the acceptability of you being a leader, a woman
Yes.
leader. Uh,
Yes.
First and foremost, for you to be accepted as a leader, it is very important to bring your credibility, and many a times you have to bring more credibility on the table as compared to any of your male colleagues, right? So that's a given. Very unfortunate, but that is how it is, right? So
Mhm.
once, so how do you build credibility? It takes time. It
Yes.
takes time for people to trust you, and that trust is built over a few data points, over the years, over a
Mm.
few months, or whatever you say, right? So
Mm.
once that credibility is built and people know that you mean business and you're very serious about your career, then they start taking you seriously as well, right? So once they start taking you seriously, you can then make a change. You can do whatever you want to do, whatever goals you want to achieve, be it your personal goals or your team goals, or collectively as a society also. Then things become easier for you. But for that, you really really have to work hard. And if you have to ask me, I think even after 15 years, not a single day goes by when I do not have to prove myself. It's an ongoing journey, and this is one of the main reasons that I always wanted to be my best and perform to the best of my abilities, because I knew that the day I stop performing, the day I'll be an average person, average professional, people will always have lots of things to say. As we have to hear it a lot of times, that you are there because of a so and so diversity quota. Not a single time I have been given any sort of leverage just because I'm a woman, right? And I would never want that either. I would
Yes.
want to be known because I bring a lot of things to the table, right?
Yeah.
And I would always want people to respect me as a professional that I am, and not because I'm a woman. And I do not like this conversation. Unfortunately, I also have to listen to this many a times, that we have these diversity quotas, or just because you're a woman, we would want you to be a part of our organization. I do not want that, and I think that it is a big disrespect to you as a woman if somebody or some company says that. So time will change all of this, but I always make sure that at least I play my role in this regard.
This is a perfect answer, and honestly, the way you've mentioned, you make sure that you are bringing some value to the table, because at the end of the day, again, you would not be wanted to be a part of a company or an organization just because you are a woman. And again, as you mentioned, it is a disrespect at the end of the day, because again, you deserve as much of the role as a man is deserving of it, right? And again, we as women have to fight these stereotypes every day. And again, jo quota wali baat hoti hai, it doesn't really make things easier for you. It makes it hard for you, because now not only you are fighting this fight of proving yourself, but also you are a part of the stereotypes. Actually, let's talk about, since I saw this post as well, and I was so happy to see this. You were awarded the diversity champion in STEP by Europe Investment. So first of all, so I would want to for you to tell people, okay, what does this award mean, and also the significance of it when it comes to your personal and professional life.
Hmm. Okay, so this is one of the biggest diversity organizations by Europe. And I am very, very humbly proud to say that I am the first Pakistani to ever receive this award. Not because I am the best, but because I think I've been lucky enough. And so there's a jury that decides your service and whatever you have done in the capacity of having more diversity as well as inclusion in your teams. If you have mentored any women around you, and particularly with regards to your own country, whatever positive roles have you played as a woman, as a women professional, right? So in my case, it has always been a corporate journey. So whatever I have done in my last 5 companies that I've worked for. So all my history, my achievements, even my performance awards. So
Hmm.
if I particularly talk about sales, I don't remember I have ever missed any target in any of my organization. And also, I have, Alhamdulillah, Allah has been very kind. I have always tried my level best to be the best performer. And I don't remember, because I think this is sales is something that really resonates with my personality. This is what I think of myself as a professional now, that chasing a target, following deadlines, whatever KPIs am I given, I really find positivity, I really find energy that I draw from such KPIs. So it has really worked well for me. And on the basis of all those performance indicators and other responsibilities that I have taken on, not in any of the organizations, but otherwise also. So it's basically a mixture of all those things. So I feel blessed that I have been awarded this.
Wow, that's perfect. And I feel like, seeing this story and also you being awarded with that, in my opinion, can inspire so many other women who are, aspiring to be somebody, who are aspiring to even exist in STEM itself. Also, so how would you? So there are so many women, right? And they are existing in different fields. And again, just हमने बात की about stereotypes and gender quota and diversity just for the sake of it. So जब इस तरह की examples हमारे सामने आती हैं, and there are so many women that kind of like hesitate, to even take the first step, and that's an issue that we have seen, right? Because again, thoughts like this pop up ke, male populated industry hai, maybe I don't even have a chance, but then there are women like you that are making a difference. How would you advise them to overcome this fear, of not being able to do well, or not being able to be at your level someday, right? Because this is a big achievement and you're the first Pakistani woman to ever do that, right? So what would your advice be for them?
So two things that I think, personally, I think are the most important. One is building self confidence, right?
Mm,
This is the most important thing, and one of my key observations that I see in girls who have just started their career, or even who are studying, and even in their mid career level. This self confidence and the ability to trust in yourself is severely lacking.
mm,
Unfortunately, our education systems, our family systems, to be very honest, we do not give that level of confidence to women, and they're always questioning themselves. They are
mm.
more than men, I would say. They are the ones always asking for external validation.
Yeah, yeah,
So they would always want somebody to constantly motivate them, tell them that, okay, you can do well. I do not think that beyond a certain level. Of course, it is very important to take good feedback and to ask for the things that you might be doing wrong. It's okay, nobody knows everything. Even at this point, I don't think that I know everything, I know all the answers. It's a journey, right?
yeah,
So, first and foremost, you have to believe in yourself as to what
mm,
qualities do you have and play on your strengths. So
yeah,
just forget about all the negativity that you have in yourself, or whatever people might tell you that you cannot do. So I let me tell you, I have never been, I would not say that I have been a star all my life, right? There were
mm,
times I also questioned myself, and still, by the way, there are times when I question, not every decision that I make is right? So you learn from your failures,
mm,
you learn from the bad decisions that you make, but what
yeah,
is important is that you keep going, right?
yeah,
Nobody is perfect. So generally what happens is that when we see people at a certain stage, we do not really think about the journey that they have covered. We
yeah,
only see them as perfect, and it is
yeah,
not the case, right?
mm,
So I honestly always consider that, okay, I'm an average person. It's okay to have a job and a certain salary. It's perfectly okay. It'll make me happy. And there were times when, I, my second or third company, then when I joined, I exactly remember, I used to think that, okay, when I will start drawing so and so amount as salary, I would be
yeah,
very happy, right? But then again, after so many years, I still think it's still a huge, I really have to cover a distance even now. So first, you have to be grateful for whatever wherever you are. Second, the constant desire to improve yourself and keep improving and doing whatever you want to do is very, very important, right?
yes, yes,
Second, once you think that, okay, now that you're confident, you feel that you can do a lot, you can change the world, you can do whatever, then comes your, you know, goal setting, that
Yeah.
where exactly do you want to be. And by the way, you cannot do everything alone. You
Mm.
really need people by your side. So I think this is very important, that you have mentors around you, right?
Yeah.
So generally, as I see it, you seek out for help from
Mm.
mentors, your friends, people who are doing good. But remember, do not take advice from people. So I love this quote: do not take advice from people you do not want to be, right?
Right.
So only ask for advice from people whom you really think are successful, whom you really think are ethical, whom you really think have made a mark by sheer hard work and not
Mm.
otherwise. So
Mm.
that's how I see the world now.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I have so many people that are asking me some questions. तो usually ये होता है कि थोड़ा सा हमारे questions में delay भी आ जाता है. So I kind of like navigate that also. So what we will do is कि हम थोड़े से questions भी ले लेंगे इसके साथ साथ.
Sure.
So we have a question about के so somebody is asking कि female entrepreneurs, right? Again, scarcity में exist करते हैं. Again, it could be any field, but what do you think as a female entrepreneur? And since you have also kind of like mentored so many people, and then we also see a community that you've built on LinkedIn, what is the number one mistake that they are making that they should need a heads up on? So again, I think the question is again, कि as a female, आपके different challenges होते हैं. You add up a different हो जाता है. So how do you navigate that?
First and foremost, if I have to pick one point, uh, is following each and every piece of advice that you're given,
Okay.
because you're not clear. You do
Mm.
not, again, वो सारी बातें जो that I've said, just said, ये सारी interlinked है, right? So
Mm.
if you do not trust yourself fully, you would always change your goal. You would always uh, have a different mindset, different things that you want to follow. So again, when you are clear, you know what to do and what not to do. Again,
Mm.
I'm not saying you're perfect. I'm not saying whatever goal setting you have done, it's going to
Mm.
change with time, and it's okay to change your decisions as you go along. But then do not, again, I'm talking about women, and I'm particularly addressing women in this
Mm.
particular podcast, right? So I
Yeah.
would say, do not follow everything thrown to you, and
Mm.
do not be discouraged by
Mm.
what people say. People will say a lot of things to you. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I still remember 2011 or 12. There was this lady in my first organization. She every day used to come to me and say, Maryam, the ये फलाना बंदा आपके बारे में ये कह रहा है. And I remember for that particular 1 week, I used to get very depressed that, oh my God, people have this opinion about me. And, I really used to get discouraged. And so they would always have comments about my personality, the clothes I wear, the way I conduct myself, and all of that. And one day I said, never come to me again. Don't
Okay.
tell me what somebody is saying about me. That's not my concern. I am supposed to follow my heart and my
Mm.
mind. And of course,
Okay.
I am answerable to my parents, but nobody else. And of course,
Okay.
Allah Ta'ala, right?
Yes.
So minimize your distractions, make a goal, be very, very clear in your head.
Yes. Makes absolute sense. I feel like men have different challenges, and then हमारे जो challenges होते हैं, as you mentioned, कि somebody just talking about the way you dress, somebody talking about the way you even talk to people. It's so different, and I feel like it gets humiliating for you as a person as well, not just because their comments are degrading. It's more about the fact that this is what you associate me with, right? You would want it to be like be associated as a leader or as somebody that's making a difference, that's bringing so many good ideas to the table. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to, oh, she's wearing not such suitable clothes for work. So, Asha, since we talked about, we'll come back to a bit of female leadership and also your way of mentoring, females and stuff. But I would want you to kind of like highlight some of the great initiatives that you have taken. I was looking through your LinkedIn, and I was looking through all the work you've done, and such a great track record. But I would want you to kind of like share, since you've been a big part of the telecom company itself, so, what kind of initiatives you have taken so far, and what would you like to kind of like highlight here for a lot of people that are looking up to you? Some of them.
Okay, so I'm assuming we are talking about diversity and inclusion
Yes.
initiatives in particular.
Yes.
I
Yes.
start off with that, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I always try to be a very authentic person. So what
All
I
right.
mean by that is, so if I think now I have about 30,000 or even more people following me on LinkedIn, and I really feel blessed that people, especially women, they look up to me and they
Mm.
ask me questions. Every other day, I have so many messages coming in, and I also mentor around 160, 170 women by now from various part of the country. So as you said, I think initiatives, when I talk about initiatives, whatever I say on different platforms and even in my real life, I should lead by example and I should mean every word that I say. It's
Yeah.
not that I am so much against of the use of these fancy words, buzzwords, as we say, but not meaning a single thing that you say, right? So diversity and inclusion is one particular agenda that many a times I see people exploit it or people want to take benefit out of it. I do not like that.
Yeah.
As the first and foremost initiative as a leader, I would think how genuinely I include more women in part of as part of my team. Right, I have done that in all my sales roles so far. I always made sure that I not only bring women in my team, but I also make sure that I hold their hand in a way that they are driven. They have
Yeah.
this confidence that they can make a difference, and I also support them. And by the way, I am not against supporting women a few extra times. It's particularly okay. You live in a time, unfortunately, in Pakistan, we are living in 2024, and still we have to talk a lot about women inclusion. This is
Exactly.
so sad. This is so
Me-
sad. Why do we still need to fight for a seat at the table? I
Yes.
do not
Exactly.
understand, right? And by the way, all these challenges that we talk about, they are real. So because
Yes.
I myself have been, through all of that in the last 15 years. And by the way, I think I've been very blessed. We'll talk about it later also.
Yes.
I am not one of those average examples of women who had uh, that kind of a difficulty in making my position in the corporate sector.
Yeah.
Many a times I think that I have been blessed and things are relatively easier for me also. And secondly, my personality also. My
Yes.
personality has never been like that I would go and request somebody to give me the position. If I deserve it, I'm very clear that I deserve it. There's no
Yes.
second thought about it. I have
Absolutely.
been very open, I have been very vocal about what I believe in. At the same time, because you have to balance it out also, you have to take consistent positive feedback about whatever is being said to you and you think that makes sense. You change
Yeah.
yourself also. You have to be flexible enough also. You have to be a good team member also. You have to be a team player also. So we should understand there is a balance, but at the same time, since we are talking about an era where women really have to struggle, I don't mind giving them extra support. And this is what I have always done. In my last sales role, there was zero women inclusion, zero women out of a team of 55 people in the team. And I
Oh, wow.
inducted about 6 women. And I'm very, very happy to share that most of them, if not all, they were top performers, and they still are. When I see them, really makes me hearty and happy that they have been the best performers, and they always talk to me about any of the challenges that they face, and very genuinely, I always try to be there for them. I always try to help them.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And I personally feel like there's really no, bad side to it. Giving them an extra helping hand, because again, our society or the structure of it is shaped in a way where they are facing challenges. So that doesn't mean that we are, kind of like degrading the efforts of men or telling them they are not working enough or they're not facing. Of course, they have challenges themselves, but the validation to where it's important to give is that women do kind of like get surpassed in all of the जो domestic आपके काम होते हैं, right? So they are by default expected to do that. And if now and then you can be an empowering woman in their life, you can be that source and give them this little push to do wonders, as you've mentioned. The women in your team were the top performers. I think you're changing lives essentially, right? That brings me to my next question, mentoring, right? I feel like एक तो mentoring in general होती है, and then of course then there is again some आपने बात की females को आप especially भी you mentor them, right? you mentor them to enter this industry, to kind of like compete with not gender basically, but people that have been existing there so long. And again, as you mentioned, the blessed wala point. So maybe you and I belong from a really privileged family that is, okay with us going into the industry, doing whatever we want, but not everybody exactly is that way. So how do you see the importance of mentoring? And also एक दूसरा question जो कि we also often discuss here is कि how do you actually find the great mentor, right? The good mentor. Because that is also very important. So how do you see that? What is your approach with that?
Okay, very good question. So I always try to relate everything that I have experienced in my corporate life as a professional, right? So because I myself have came from that level, I can associate with a lot of challenges. And by the way, mentoring women can be very different from mentoring men, right?
Exactly.
So I do not think that, unfortunately, the time is still that we really have to tell men how to behave, what to say, what not to say, what's
Yeah.
right, what's not right, what comments can you make, as we talk about unbiased, unconscious bias, right? It's a training that we generally offer to our people around in different organizations. I'm sure that people do understand, and times are changing.
Yeah.
While I'm being positive, at the same time, I really think that we always make it a man versus a woman. It is not the case, right?
Exactly.
Nobody is taking any position of a man whatsoever. But as a woman, before I go into that mentoring part, I would say that again, and I'm not very happy when I say this, we as women in Pakistan also do not want to grow. This is also one reality.
Hmm.
So, for instance, in sales, I gave you one example. Whenever we have a position, there is no woman who applies. There are times when you really have to force your talent team and your HR team to get us good resumes, and they say that nobody has applied. What can we do about it? So there's a
Yeah.
time when we talk about giving women leadership positions, when we talk about giving women, be it in the corporate sector or any woman being an entrepreneur. There really are a lot of opportunities right there, right? So
Yeah.
it's us who do not
Yeah.
take those opportunities many a time. So this is something that really needs to change. Unfortunately, in South Asia, as I see, particularly Pakistan, the
Yes.
whole objective of security as a woman is getting married. I'm not
Yes.
against this at all. I would never say that it's a wrong thing, but just associating yourself as a human being to somebody else and letting that person do anything to you, good or bad, because you are financially not stable and you are
Yes.
financially dependent and you have nowhere to go.
Yes.
You let your whole life just go through like that.
Hmm.
And I am so much against it. While we talk about diversity and inclusion, while we talk about all those things that we talked about, I think financial independence as women is of utmost importance. I
Absolutely.
cannot uh, talk enough on this particular subject. Then comes mentoring. So for
Yes.
those women who are really really interested in making a difference in their lives, I think they really have to seek mentors. Mentors will
Yes.
not come to you, right? So I was just seeing this video where it said that mentors are generally very selfless individuals who really want you to succeed, right?
Right. Yes.
So you have to find those people in your professional life with to whom you can go for guidance. You can go for any decision making. If you are stuck somewhere, if you think that you're even going through a bad patch, they would be the ones to actually guide you, direct you, what to do, what not to do. If you feel shy at some point in time, you can always seek women leaders. Unfortunately, we do not have a lot of women in the leadership roles, but again, there are some very good women out there as well. Even
Yes.
I have lots of not lots of, I would say, 2 3 women mentors. But again, I'm not saying do not have too many mentors. So
Yes.
mentors are primarily people who you can trust, who
Yeah.
want the best. They're not competing with you. They're not the ones who would in any way harm you. They're not the ones who in any way want something bad for you to happen. They really really want you to grow. They really really want you to be the best version of yourself. So go and seek them. And by the way, even if you do not find a good mentor, there are lots of things that you can always see online, right? So whenever there is something that I want to take help on, I often go and type on chat GPT. I often go and type on YouTube. I often go and
Yeah.
see LinkedIn, and there are plenty of articles, lots of videos that I come across. So things have changed, and I would say that things have become very easy also than what they used to be in the past. There is lots of help available. So if you really want to do something in life, in your professional life, even in your personal life, you can always seek help, and there's so much available.
Yes, of course. And again, as you mentioned, mentors are people that you don't necessarily religiously follow, but also they are the people that will help you kind of like uncover your blind spots. You take that knowledge from them and then you move on. And then, of course, you can have, again, एक दो mentor आपकी life में exist करता है that you kind of like really look up to. And I'm pretty sure you are the mentor of so many other women. You have created such an incredible community. अच्छा, Mariam, there is also this question जो कि हमेशा आता है, and even Pakistan mein to STEM mein I feel like female representation kam hi hai, but also even if you see outside Pakistan, even in Silicon Valley, there are not a lot of women there, right? So what do you think, even globally and also in Pakistan maybe, what can be done or what initiatives can be taken to increase that representation? Because so many women are striving to be in STEM, right? Maybe so many are already in there, but maybe they don't have that visibility because again, कहीं ना कहीं मेल डोमिनेंस भी एग्जिस्ट करती है एंड मे बी नॉट इफ बिकॉज मेल डोमिनेंस देन इट्स ऑल्सो बिकॉज यू डोंट अगेन जिस आपने बात बताई कि सो मेनी रोल्स एग्जिस्ट आउट देयर राइट बहुत सी लेवल रोल होंगे बहुत मिड टीयर रोल होंगे वुमेन वुड जस्ट नॉट अप्लाई जस्ट बिकॉज दे फील लाइक दे डोंट स्टैंड द चांस तो उस रिप्रेजेंटेशन को किस तरीके से इंक्रीज किया जाए हाउ डू वी डू दैट व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर दैट
Okay, first of all, keep yourself updated on the latest trends on STEM and see what's going on. There are lots of scholarships and grants. There are lots of funding available, particularly for women. So this all comes under support. The extra support that I was talking about earlier, right? So once you know that the support is available, make use of it. Ask for
Okay.
help. If you're not clear in anything, ask the respective experts in that particular field. For those people who do not know what STEM stands for, it is
Yeah.
science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right?
Hmm.
So now, coming again back to your question, why do we think that women representation is not much? Because of the perception to start off with, right?
Hmm.
We do not associate STEM being associated with an average woman. And by the
Yeah.
way, as you rightly said, it's across the world, not just in South Asia or Pakistan, but it's
Yeah.
across the world.
Yeah.
We as women do not feel confident that I have not seen, even I'm a very good example. I always used to hide away or stay away from mathematics, and I still
Yeah.
don't like it, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
thought that okay, my brother is going to be very intelligent. By the way, he's very intelligent in maths, but apart from that, I never had the confidence to even give it a shot.
Yeah. Exactly.
I did pre-engineering. I did my engineering later, but honestly, again, I'll be very honest with you. The sole purpose to do engineering was because all my siblings were either doctors or engineers. So I did not want to be someone not of the lot, and I just thought, okay, let's do engineering, and that's it. There was no ambition at that particular time. My ambition actually kicked in when I started getting the fruit of my hard work in my first job,
Makes
and
sense.
and I owe it to my bosses. I owe it to my one mentor, my first mentor in packages.
Yeah.
Somebody else had to come to me and tell me that Mariam, you're good in this and so. Maybe you can try sales.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have done MBA, but I never thought of it. And
Yeah.
then from there on, my career just moved ahead like anything. So if
Hmm.
I have to compare my first 5 years of corporate life versus the next five and the next five, my career really, really accelerated. And
Yeah.
by the way, since we have talked about challenges and everything, man versus a woman, all of that, I really, really want to tell you that I owe a lot of credit to the people, to the men in my professional life. They
Wow.
actually helped me be where I am today. Because as I said earlier, there were very, very few women, like very, very few, right? So for instance, अगर अभी 5 खवातीन 100 में से हैं लीडरशिप पोजीशन में, तो शायद एक या दो थी. So
Exactly. Yeah.
so those men, those bosses, leaders, they really, really saw something in me that really, really helped me, right? So again, it became it. So Genuine leadership is also one thing that I think we have to talk about, irrespective of the gender. So you as a leader really have to make sure that you do your responsibility 100%, and first seeing the talent,
Yeah.
nurturing the talent, and then supporting people to be the best versions of themselves. So
Hmm.
I am not here because of my own self. It's an effort of the people who work with me, and it is an ongoing journey. I still have those mentors and people I really trust in my professional life, and they still help me with whenever I'm stuck.
Yes, makes sense. Again, genuine leadership is something that I also truly believe is something जो कि even when you are starting out with your career, like बहुत important होती है. You find the right people and they empower you in ways you could never even imagine. And then, your experience maybe like just we have a corporate life. Your experience with corporate life totally changes because again, वो corporate life अभी 9 to 5 stereotype होता है, right? So regardless of your gender, when you get good mentors and leaders, they change that for you. Acha, Mariam, we've been talking about so many things, challenges, initiatives, how to increase representation. So we will move towards wrapping up the live, and उसमें एक सबसे important I think question ये है कि since you have worked in this industry for so long, you have 15 years of experience. You are at you have been in so many different leadership roles, and you stand at such a high position now, mashallah. Um, where do you see the space of STEM in 10 years, and what opportunities basically you see for women? Where do you see ke agle 10 saal mein, how can women leverage from this particular industry, and also again वही बात है कि increase the representation. So where do you see their careers, and also so many young people, हमारी LinkedIn की जो audience होती है, it's a lot of young grads, तो what do you advise them? Maybe females के लिए भी हो सकता है, general advice भी हो सकती है.
Okay, so whenever we are into a conversation,
Yeah.
whichever subject we pick, we always talk about primarily, if you just reflect back, we
Mhm.
always talk about what other people can do for you.
Yes.
So there are, very less occasions where we talk about what we should be doing. So if you have asked this question from me, I would like to think about myself as a leader. What responsibility do I have to make a
Mhm.
change, right? It starts from myself. I can
Yeah.
say 100 things against the system not working right, people not being good to me, and all of that. But what exactly, now that if I think I'm in a position to make a difference, what exactly would I do?
Yes.
For me, leadership, if I have to put it in one word, is responsibility slash
Mhm.
ownership, right?
Yes.
So let's say, if I think that there are 5 to 10 things that are not getting right or still needs improvement, I would say that I should be the first person to start off with that, right?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
talked a lot about self confidence. I genuinely think that one thing that really has uh, torn our country apart is lack of merit, and I'm very clear about it. Why are we still unable to create trust? So you ask any graduate, any person, any student who is graduating, fresh grads, people who have less than 2 to 3 years of experience, I do not see that level of trust. They do not trust the whole system. And
Mm.
so, for instance, I'll give you one example. If there's a position in my team, I shortlist the CVs myself. I
Okay.
do not. So not that I don't trust the teams, the relevant teams, but I think it is my core responsibility to be transparent, and I would
Mm.
like to treat people the way I want to be treated.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mm.
And secondly, our mindset. So if we reach out to somebody saying that I am looking for an opportunity in Pakistan, it is considered to be a very negative thing. The
Mm.
first thing that comes to our mind is, oh, this person is going through a rough patch. It's not the case. I mean,
Yeah.
it's let's just normalize people asking you for opportunities. Let's just
Yes.
try to help them, create
Yeah.
opportunities for them. And I am so much against, uh, inducting people whom you know solely on the basis of people whom you know.
Yeah.
Friends and family culture. This should eradicate. If we
Yeah.
are able to successfully remove these kind of roadblocks, your youth will start trusting the whole process system. How many people in 10 do you think would be given a call for an interview if they randomly apply on LinkedIn? I don't think more than one or two. That would
Yeah.
be very lucky of them to get through. So this is a harsh reality.
Mm.
So it all boils down to leadership for me, I think, and this is my primary role. If I really want to make a change, I really have to take those tiny steps to make sure that I make a difference, right?
Yeah,
Second, एज अ लीडर हमारी ट्रेनिंग नहीं होती बिल्कुल भी, राइट? सो
exactly.
बाय अ स्ट्रोक ऑफ लक इफ आई एम गिवन अ टीम वन डे, I would not know how to treat them.
True.
Remember, a bad leader really does such a big harm to any organization, to any country, to any function that he or she works for, right? So second come the second trait that I think is most important as a leader is courage.
Mm.
You
Mm.
should be able to make a clear statement. If you think something is not right, speak up,
Mm.
talk about it.
Mm.
It's okay. So if you will be the first person to say anything, people will really appreciate you. Remember, I talked about being authentic at the start,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
really believe in that. If you're authentic, no matter what people say to you on your face, deep down they would know that you are somebody to be trusted,
Mm.
even if you say things that they don't like, and
Yeah.
nobody cares. Let me tell you, if I have come this far, being as I said, being vocal, being frank, I always try to be authentic, by the way. So
Mm.
if people have given me this place up till now, I think the world is also up for those positive and hardworking people. There,
Yeah,
there's still hope.
yeah.
Secondly, it is your responsibility to support and develop your team members,
Mm.
irrespective of gender. You have
Yes,
to be very transparent. So as a leader, whatever I say, I should mean it.
yes.
Last but not the least would be synergy that you create. As a leader, you should be able to take the best out of your team members.
Mm.
So once
Mm.
you are able, so if you have more such leaders in our country, in any field, be it telecommunication, be it FMCG, be it in MNCs, local companies, whatever, and even being as an entrepreneur, you really
Mm.
are going to make a difference. So leadership is for me, it's a cliche now. Everyone talks about a leader. Everyone
Yeah.
talks about being perks of being a leader. Getting so and so. That's okay, but have we ever thought or realized the responsibility that we have as a leader? Have we, even at the government level, I would say, even at the in the private sector, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So the change starts from me,
Yeah.
and it's not that I'm on this podcast and I it's good to have those fancy words, but at least I try to genuinely believe in this particular
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So as you also talked about that award for me is just a start.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
brought me global visibility. It has brought me credibility, and I am very, very honored. At the same time, I feel that I owe, it's a big responsibility on my shoulders.
Yeah.
So again, these people who have given me this award, they talked to me about Pakistan. They asked me that, okay, what further will you do for women in your country? How can
Mm.
you still keep on adding value, and how can you improve the livelihoods of women around you in your
Mm.
personal capacity? So I
Mm.
am all up for this, and I know that the support that I've gotten up till now, if I keep going like that, if my intention is right, if I do not commercialize this, if
Yes.
I do not want to sell it like that, and if I genuinely believe in improving lives of people, so I'm sure I can make a lot of difference, and I'll be
Yes.
respected for that. So that's
Yes.
what process for now is.
Wow, that is incredible. I feel like, especially when you talked about leadership, and your responsibility as leader, being a leader, is so important. And I'm so glad you talked about it, because so many of us had our own personal even experiences. So many kids that are getting into the industry, so many women that are getting into the industry have had such specific experiences where I think if they would have had a good leader to them, they would have outperformed themselves, even beyond their expectations. And I feel like we need to emphasize more on being good leaders. And I think once we have that, the problems we are facing even as women or generally in the corporate sectors, they would just not exist, because people know their job and their responsibility to make the difference. Mariam, thank you so much for joining for this live and being such an incredible guest. It had been a while since we talked about women and leadership roles in STEM, and I truly believe that you were the perfect person to talk about it with such an extensive experience, and working at notable places and making such a big difference, and then also being awarded for such a better and such a great cause, and then again creating visibility through that and talking about experiences and problems that really matter. So thank you so much for coming on here, and thank you so much for everybody that joined the live. Again, if you have any questions from Mariam, or this specific topic, you can always leave them below. We'll try our best to answer them. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next week, inshallah, with a new guest with a new topic. So for that, see you soon, and thank you so much, Mariam. Allah Hafiz.
No,